Hey, what is going on, guys? It's DK back at you with another video here for a final look at the Week 6 main slate here on DraftKings. A couple things before I get into the video. One, we're over 1.1 thousand subscribers now on this channel. Thank you guys all so much for all the support. Really appreciate it. And then two, if you're new to the channel, we got a weekly giveaway going on every single week where all you have to do is leave a like and a comment in the video and be subscribed to the channel. That's one entry into the giveaway. Max one comment though per video. And then however many videos up for the week, starting with my Monday night video at the beginning of the week, going throughout the week, and ending in my Monday night football showdown slate video at the end of the week. You can enter it however many videos I have for the week. So again, if I have like 10 videos up for the week, you can enter it 10 times. And the winner will receive a $20 PayPal from myself. So with that out of the way, let's jump into this final look at the Week 6 main slate. So let's start with quarterback again. And for me, quarterback is... I like a lot of the guys in the top range, and then a couple cheap guys I'll talk about too. The mid-range is I'm kind of avoiding it, but I really like the guys up top, and then a couple cheapies. So we'll start with Mahomes at 7.5K. I think he's going to go pretty low-owned, actually, on this slate, just because of that ankle injury, right? He didn't look like himself against the Colts. He said he's good to go. I mean, it's still affecting him a bit, but I just think the ownership drops in him a lot. So, the upside is still there, right? This game is the highest over-under of the day, so... I think he's going to go a lot lower owned than he should be because the risk with the ankle, but I think the upside is still there for GPPs. Lamar Jackson is the same thing every week with him, right? It's just he has a high floor with the rushing upside. Kind of had a pretty bad week there against Pittsburgh with 1 touchdown, 3 picks, but again, 70 yards in the ground. He's basically going to get you anywhere from like 5 to 10 points at least on the ground every single day or every single week. So. The floor is pretty high with Lamar Jackson, but I think I probably prefer a couple other quarterbacks up top here. Again, DESHAUN Watson had a huge game against Atlanta. It's just we want to stream teams against the Atlanta defense. Now he gets a match against Kansas City in the highest over-under of the day. I like DESHAUN Watson too here at 6.7 for cash and GPPs. You can really target these guys up top for cash games because there are value plays we'll get to later on that I think you can fit these guys. So, Mahomes, DESHAUN Watson, really like both those guys in the same game. Russ Wilson solid here at 6.6K. Going on the road against Cleveland. If you want to go there, I'm not going to talk you off him. I probably just prefer a couple guys in better matchups. But I still think Russell Wilson's doable. Now we get to Kyler Murray. So I talked about it a bit in my early breakdown. His touchdown rate has been terrible this year. The Cardinals have just not been able to convert in the red zone. If they can just convert a few times right in the red zone, Kyler Murray could have a huge, huge day. So he said what? He said 4 touchdowns so far in 6 touchdowns so far in 5 games. So really not good, touchdown wise. But if the touchdown regression goes in his favor and he scores a few this game, he could have a huge game again. We want to stream players against Atlanta's defense. They just got crushed by the Texans and then the week before by the Titans. So I like Kyler Murray, and I think the breakout game's coming here. He's probably my favorite quarterback play of the day. And again, he also has rushing upside, right? The last 3 games, 69, 27, and 93 yards on the ground. So there is a floor there too. And it's just the matchup is so good. So really like Kyler Murray. Same thing with Matt Ryan at 6.4K. He's definitely doable. I'm just going to prefer Kyler Murray in the same game because he has the rushing floor. But if you want to go Matt Ryan, definitely not going to talk you off him. Atlanta seems to always be playing from behind, which is good for Matt Ryan for DFS. I think he's viable here at 6.4K. And then we get to the mid-range where not too high in a lot of these guys. If you feel really strongly in one of these mid-tier guys, you can definitely go there with like Dak, Goff, Wentz, Garoppolo, Baker Mayfield. I don't think I would do it. Andy Dalton, no thanks. Like Bridgewater against the Jags, Kirk Cousins against Philly is okay. But really, a cheap option I'm liking here is Sam Darnold at 5.1K. Finally coming back from mono here. And, gets a matchup against Dallas. Dallas just got lit up there by Green Bay. Now, a lot of that was on the ground by Aaron Jones, but still, 5.1K for a starting quarterback. Sam Darnold is pretty solid, so I think he's a cheap option, for cash and GPPs. And same thing with Gardner Minshew at 5K, going up against the Saints offense here. He did flash him upside there against Carolina, right? 27 fantasy points. I said I was waiting for him to show that upside for me to target him. So we know what's there in him. 5K, the matchup's pretty solid. So I think Minshew, Sam Darnold, as well as Case Keenum here at 5K. This is like the toilet bowl with 2 winless teams. Keenum's been, in the 3 games he's played, he's actually been pretty solid, right? 30, 16, and 19 fantasy points, and now he gets a matchup against that terrible Miami defense. So, I kind of like Case Keenum here. The worry is, again, he's coming back from the injury, but still, like, that's a pretty solid price tag. And then, where is Miami here? So Josh Rosen here at 4.5K. Rosen will serve it. Yeah, okay. For the rest of the season, right? I was making sure they didn't switch up the quarterbacks. But he's got a matchup against Washington. Again, Washington's defense has been just destroyed by teams recently. So wouldn't hate going Josh Rosen. Yeah, I think he's viable as a cheap option. Probably would prefer those other guys, right, with Keenum, Minshew, Darnold. But if you really want to go Rosen, I think he goes really low owned. And that's kind of it for quarterback lease on this slate. So let's move on to running back. Running back at the top, there's some solid options, right? We have Zeke at 8.5K going up against the Jets. He's had 3 kind of mediocre games, but those are kind of the floor games for Zeke. The game against Green Bay was frustrating because they just got off to such a big deficit that they had to pass the whole time, and they just couldn't really feed Zeke. Only 12 carries for 62 yards, but still, he had great yards per carry. Got target, 2 catches there. He's still going to be involved in the pass game too. He's going to be out there like the whole time in close games. So I think Zeke at 8.5K is pretty solid. Again, the upside is there on him. We just haven't seen it the last few games. Dalvin Cook at 8.4K, I do like. Minnesota just really wants to establish a run here. They're just feeding this guy, whether it be on the ground or through the air. Really like that he's getting targeted in the passing game as well. So he's another really solid spend up if you've got the salary. Now, Kamara currently listed as questionable. This is a situation we have to monitor. If he misses, we could look to a cheap option like Latavius Murray. So yeah, this will be something we have to monitor come Sunday morning. But even if Kamara plays, I don't think I want to go there. I think there's better options spend up wise, with Zeke, Cook, and then a couple guys below Kamara. But if Kamara misses, we could look to a guy like Latavius Murray. He'll get to in a sec. David Johnson at 7.6K. Said that back injury kind of been limiting him in practice. He said he's probably going to be good to go. So again, this will be another situation you have to monitor. If he does miss, we could look to a guy like Chase Edmonds. But if David Johnson plays, I kind of like him here again. Atlanta's defense, we want to stream players against them. Same thing with Arizona. Like this game, 2 really, really bad defenses. Really like this game as part of a game stack. The worry is he's coming back from the back injury, but I do like the upside a good amount of David Johnson. Don't mind Nick Chubb either here at 7.3K. He kind of had, I guess, an off game there against the 49ers, but they were just, same thing. He fell behind early, and they just had to pass the whole time. So in a game that probably should stay closer here, don't hate Nick Chubb. Again, he's getting involved in the pass game, which I really like. 7.3K I think is fair price. And then Fournette too. Like him a good amount at 6.7K. The Jags just really, really want to establish a run. 29 and 23 carries last 2 games. He gets involved in the passing game too. If the Jags fall behind. He's out there the whole time. He's just a workhorse back, right? So I don't think the price, he's like probably $1,000 too cheap. So I really like Fournette here in the mid-range. Mark Ingram's okay. It's just, Baltimore utilizes other backs, and Lamar Jackson keeps it himself a good amount. So don't know if I want to go Mark Ingram. And then we got Le'Veon too. Probably one of my favorite, if not my favorite running back play of the day at 6.4K. Just because, right, look at his production in the games that he was playing with Luke Falk. He was still, putting up decent fantasy points here of 21, 10, 15. Now he gets Sam Darnold back, much better quarterback. This game should stay close. The offense should be a lot better. So Le'Veon at 6.4K is just way too cheap here. So I do like him and Fournette in the mid-range a lot. Derrick Henry. Oh, so Todd Gurley listed as doubtful. We'll get to Malcolm Brown here in a sec. Derrick Henry, just never a guy I get to because he's kind of game flow dependent. If the Titans are playing with a lead, then Derrick Henry's solid. But if they're playing from behind, they're going to utilize Deion Lewis a lot. So on a main slate like this, I don't think I want to take a shot on Derrick Henry. Chris Carson, definitely doable as well in the mid-range. 22 and 27 carries. They're going to work him. Early in the season, he had the fumbling issue, but last couple games have been solid. Not going to be utilized too much in the passing game, but there's still, he'll get like 3 or 4 catches, every game. So don't hate Carson there at all. Devontae Freeman at 5.8K is viable. The reason he's in play is because the matchup, as well as he is utilized so much in the passing game. So, I kind of like Devontae Freeman. Don't know if I go there for cash though, just because they don't utilize, or he hasn't been doing that well on the ground. But the floor is there with the the receiving upside. The Kansas City backfield is kind of a stay away. It's looking like it's going to be a 3-headed monster. Not really any piece that Kansas City offense is valuable, but in a three-headed monster, I'll probably pass on a main slate. Let's see, like the Denver backs, Lindsey and Royce Freeman are solid. I just don't want to play either in a timeshare really on a main slate. Burrito looked really good there in that game against Cleveland. Only 11 carries, right? They're still utilizing three backs with Tevin Coleman and Mostert. So again, do I want to play someone in a three-headed monster in a main slate? Probably not. Chris Thompson, don't hate it, but the 5K price seems a little much for him. Again, Chase Edmonds, this would be a situation where we could go there if David Johnson misses. We'll only consider him if David Johnson misses. If David Johnson plays, Edmonds is a cross-off for me. AP, I've been hearing some chatter of him being chalky this week. I mean, I get it. Miami's defense is really bad, but I just think there's better options in the slate than to take a shot in, 34-year-old AP? He's really up there in age, so I don't think I want to go there. Hyde's decent. I mean, they're still giving him a good amount of work. KENYAN Drake, too, but they're still giving Balaj some work, but the matchup's pretty solid here. Wouldn't hate KENYAN Drake. I would definitely prefer going KENYAN Drake over Adrian Peterson because I think the upside is higher with KENYAN Drake because he gets utilized more in the passing game. Ito Smith's okay. Again, it's getting like 40-50% of the work in a good matchup at 4.3K, but again, him and Freeman kind of splitting the work. That's the downside of Freeman too, right? Is that Ito Smith is out there a decent amount. So Malcolm Brown at 4.3K. So he's going to be, Gurley's doubtful, so he's going to, probably be given the early down work. I'd say probably gets 60 to 70% of the snaps. San Francisco's defense has looked pretty solid, but Malcolm Brown in his career has a pretty good yards per carry. So I think at 4.3K, one of the better value plays in the slate. We could also, if you really want to get risky here, you could look to a guy like Henderson Jr., the rookie, going to be the backup now and will obviously be more involved. We don't know how involved he's going to be. If my best guess, he probably gets 25 to 30% of the work, and then Malcolm Brown gets the rest. Maybe Malcolm Brown gets injured, and then you could, Henderson would crush there at 3.2K. So in GPPs, you want to get really risky, you could take a shot there at basically minimum price. And then I think, Latavius Murray here at 3.7K. So he would be a guy that would be a pretty solid value play, one of the top value plays in the slate if Kamara misses, because Kamara, that's so much usage to go around, and I think most of it would go to Latavius Murray there. I think he would get the bulk of the carries at 3.7K. So again, that's the situation you have to monitor Sunday morning, and that's basically it for running backs. So let's move on to wide receiver. Now, wide receiver at the top, we got Julio Jones at 8K. So he's had back-to-back kind of, not the best weeks, but I like buying low. Well, not necessarily buying low, but I like buying guys when they have an off game the previous game because the ownership's going to drop in them. I always kind of fade guys that have the huge games because I know the ownership's going to be high on them the next week. I like kind of, like I said, not really buying low, but buying on a guy who, has had an off week or two the previous 2 weeks. I think the ownership will drop. It's just the matchup is amazing here against Arizona. Again, I want a lot of pieces to this game. Julio, we know the upside's there. We saw it in game 2 and game 3, 30 fantasy point upside. I love Julio as a spend up. Michael Thomas, I think I'll pass, right? Because I think the ownership's going to be really high on him after that big game, and the price went way up to 7.8K. So I think this is where I hop off Michael Thomas. DeAndre, the same situation here with Julio, right? He's had 3 or 4 straight, just mediocre weeks. But we saw it last year. We know the upside's there. We saw it in game 1, 34 fantasy points. This is a game where there's going to be so many points scored. It's going to be back and forth. Again, Houston, Kansas City, and Atlanta, Arizona. Try to fit as many of those guys in your lineup as possible. I love DeAndre. I think the upside's huge here, and I think the ownership's going to go low because I think a lot of people will go to Will Fuller after that big week. But we know the upside's there with Hopkins. Kupp, and he's just really safe, right? The targets are there, 10, 9, 12, 15, 17. This seems so safe. He's had 20, 36, 29, 20, almost averaging 30 fantasy points a game. Now, again, San Francisco's defense has looked pretty solid, but a Kupp just seems so safe. Amari Cooper at 7K, we saw the upside on him, right? If 11 catches on 14 targets for 226 yards and a touchdown. I talked about him being too cheap against Green Bay. He's still not priced up enough here on the slate, so I don't mind Amari Cooper either. Tyreek Hill, this is a situation I have to monitor as well. They have him listed as questionable with that shoulder injury, so he could play in this one. If he plays, obviously the upside's there, and I think the ownership will be low because people are going to be scared about the shoulder injury. But we know the huge upside on Tyreek Hill and a pretty fair price. So If he plays, it would be someone I would be interested in for sure at 6.9K. Now, Odell, I don't hate it, but it just that the Cleveland offense has been kind of a mess. Baker Mayfield really not looking that good. So, I mean, the price is viable, but I just prefer some of these other spend-up receivers. Thielen, again, I talked about Thielen and Kirk Cousins stack there in Week 5 because Minnesota's passing offense has been terrible, but then they had the bounce back week, like I said, 35 fantasy points for Thielen. We know the upside's there. The weakest part of Philadelphia's defense is their secondary, so don't hate Thielen at all there, 7.6. Lockett's always safe for targets at 6.4K. Tyler Boyd's okay. Sammy Watkins listed as doubtful, so that's gonna secure McCole Hardman for at least another week, as well as Demarcus Robinson, and then possibly Byron Pringle if Tyreek Hill misses. So we'll get to that guy in a sec. Larry Fitzgerald at 6.1K, I think he's really solid. Seems pretty safe. A lot of the Arizona receivers in Kirk and Bird dealing with injuries. They're both listed as questionable, so that's another situation we have to monitor. But don't hate Larry Fitzgerald at 6.1K here in a really good matchup. Now, Will Fuller, if you want to go back to the well here, certainly don't hate it. I said the breakout game was coming. We saw it, right? 14 catches, 217 yards, and 3 touchdowns. I think he's going to be one of the more popular guys in the slate. And definitely don't hate it, right? The price, I don't think has come up enough. But me, personally, I just like taking shots on guys who I think are going to be lower owned. I think DeAndre Hopkins is going to be lower owned because he's had like 4 straight pretty mediocre weeks, while Will Fuller's just had that huge week. So if you want to take the price savings in Will Fuller, 100% you can go there. Again, I want a lot of pieces to that game. So he's certainly viable in the mid-range. And again, we saw that upside last game. Terry McLaurin with Case Keenum coming back. Don't hate it. I would have liked it if he was a little cheaper, but he's still viable at 6K. Demarcus Robinson and McCole Hardman. Hardman at 5.3, Robinson at 5.9. They're going to get another week of pretty high usage there with no Sammy for sure and possibly no Tyreek Hill. Don't hate Calvin Ridley. A little more boomer bust, though, for my liking. DJ Chark's the guy I think might be pretty popular here at 5.5K. He's kind of turning into the number 1 receiver now for the Jags. Just had a huge week, but again, just had that huge 40 fantasy point week. I think I'll hop off here and maybe go to a lower owned guy like D.D. Westbrook, just because I think the ownership will be a lot higher on DJ Chark. Now in cash games, you can go DJ Chark for sure, right? He's basically the number 1 receiver, but D.D. Westbrook as a pivot, I kind of like that out of the slot. So both wide receivers definitely in play. Kirk coming back from the injury, if he plays, that would worry me. He's coming back from the ankle injury. Looked kind of bad. That happened like 2 weeks ago. So don't know if I would even go there if he plays, just because that the injury does worry me. Let's see other options. Sanu, seems pretty safe at 4.5K in a really good matchup. He's had 3 straight double-digit fantasy point games. So at 4.5K, I think he's fair priced. Then we can get to the toilet bowl games with Devontae Parker, Preston Williams. On the same team going up against Washington. Don't hate either. I think I would lean towards Preston Williams. But if you want to go Devontae Parker, don't mind it. Again, those are cheap options we can consider in a game with 2 really, really bad defenses, 2 really bad teams in general. But there are some cheap options that are doable in that game. Now we get to probably my favorite cheap wide receiver of the day. It's going to be Jamison Crowder, 4K. So he struggled there in week 2, week 3, week 5, Luke Falk. Just that, Luke Falk's not a good quarterback. Now I get Sam Darnold, who in week 1 had 14 catches on 17 targets. So I don't think we can expect that again, 17 targets and 14 catches, but I think a fair projection on him is anywhere from 8 to 10 targets. Sam Darnold loves targeting the slot, at a depleted price point here at 4K. I really like Jamison Crowder. Again, probably my favorite value wide receiver of the slate. Don't hate Robbie Anderson either. If you want to go Robbie Anderson, the upside's high on him too. Both these guys are really cheap, so either or, definitely in play. If you're making me pick, I'm going to lean towards Crowder, but both those guys are just 200 price on the slate. Keyshawn Johnson would be a guy I would only go to if both Bird and Christian Kirk are out. If one of those guys or both are playing, I can't go there. Let's see. Other wide receivers. I think that's Kiki Cutie at 3.5K. Wouldn't hate it if Kenny Stills misses, he'd fill in as the number 3 guy. Also, Byron Pringle would only go to him if Tyreek Hill misses as well. Sammy Watkins is doubtful, so I assume he's out. If Tyreek Hill misses, Byron Pringle will be the number 3 guy. And we saw, he does have some upside there in that game against the Colts with 6 catches and 8 targets for over 100 yards. So he would be a guy, probably would be one of my favorite value plays too if Tyreek Hill does miss. And I think that's about it for wide receiver. So let's move on to tight end. Tight end, Kelsey at the top, he's always safe. And he's got Mahomes playing. He's basically getting like 8 to 10 targets every single game. This game, there should be a lot of points scored. So, yeah, I like Travis Kelce a lot as a spend up. George Kittle currently list is questionable. If he's good to go, I think that's a pretty solid price tag on him. Austin Hooper is just a guy that I'm never too high on, but we gotta take into consideration what he's done this year. And Atlanta seems to always be playing from behind in this one. We want to stream tight ends against Arizona. Tight ends have just crushed Arizona this year, and Austin Hooper is a guy that's really utilizing this passing game right now. So at 5K, I think he's probably going to be one of the chalkier options in the slate, but I do like him just because of the matchup and how well he's being utilized. With both Washington tight ends being out, I'll get to a value tight end there in a sec. Gerald Everett, another guy I think is going to be pretty popular at 3.6K because he had a big week there. The concern is, we saw what happened in the early weeks. Week 1, Week 2, Week 3, Week 1, Week 2, and Week 3. 1 fantasy point, 5 fantasy points, 3 fantasy points. So, yeah, he did have a really big game there against the Seahawks. I think the upside is there on him, but I think there's a decent chance he could bust in this one. So I might pivot off of him because I think the ownership's going to be really high. And again, in that Tampa Bay game, they were just playing from behind the whole time, so everyone's stats were inflated in that game. So he really did have that one big week, and then that's basically it. So I think temper your expectations with him. Now, he does have upside, but we know he has a low floor like we saw in those first few weeks. Let's see. Other really cheap tight ends. Noah Fant, I do think a breakout game is coming soon from him, but don't know if I want to take a shot there. So Jeremy Sprinkle here at 2.6K. With both Vernon Davis and Jordan Reed out, he's going to be the main man. He's going to be the starting tight end, going to play most of the game. Miami's defense, obviously really bad. So, and he's got Case Keenum at quarterback too. So I think Jeremy Sprinkle is actually a pretty solid value play. He's pretty athletic. He's like a 6'5", 6'6", decent pass catching tight end. Again, he's got Case Keenum at quarterback. Obviously an upgrade there. The defense, Miami, really bad. So if you want to punt the position, I don't hate Jeremy Sprinkle there at 2.6K. And that's kind of it for tight end. So let's move on finally to defense. Defense, the Cowboys are at the top, but with Sam Darnold being back, I don't think I want to go there. The Ravens, you can always go to the Ravens defense. They're always super aggressive. At playing at home, don't mind that. Let's see, the Broncos at home going up against the Titans at 3.1K. I think that's pretty solid. You could look to either Miami or Washington in that toilet bowl. Wouldn't hate taking a shot on one of those defenses. Let's see. And then the Jags here, 2.2K. I think that's pretty low for a home defense going up against the Saints. Teddy Bridgewater, he did flash a bit of upside there in the last game, but he's not Drew Brees. So as a cheap option, I kind of do like the Jags. And then that's basically it, really, for me. So I think that's going to do it for today's video, guys. Again, if you have been enjoying the content, would really appreciate if you would like this video and subscribe. If you want to get into the giveaway, all you have to do is leave a like and a comment in the video. That's one entry into the giveaway. I will not be live streaming tomorrow. Something came up, so I will not be able to live stream before lock. But I will have a video up for the Sunday Night Showdown later, right after this, so be on the lookout for that. And again, thanks guys for coming to check out the video, and I will see you guys later.